What's up, guys? It is an exciting time. We just kicked off the 2022 CrossFit Games season, and with Train to Rise Up, we wanted to make sure that you guys feel like you are getting what you need in regards to video descriptions or workout descriptions, the details that you might need to consider in regards to warm-up preparation, and even some tips and tricks in how to optimize your performance through the open season this year. It's been a while since I've made some of these videos. I sat out the last year or two in regards to giving the masses some of my advice. Of course, I was doing it with my personal athletes, but here we are. I wanted to make sure the Train to Rise Up community is supported, as well as anyone out there that's looking for further guidance outside of their gym or their local box. So here we are. What an exciting workout. 22.1 is a 15-minute AMRAP of 3 wall walks, 12 alternating dumbbell snatches, and 15 box jump overs. Now, this workout, to a degree, seems very simple and it's very straightforward. And I'll be honest with most of you, it is. The elite level competitor is going to certainly be able to push through 10 and 11 and potentially plus rounds of this workout. They're going to keep tight transitions, and their goal is to optimally keep their foot on the gas from start to finish, but making sure that the gas isn't too hardly pressed in those first 3 to 4 minutes. So it's going to be a bit of a dance for the elite competitor, and it's going to actually translate that way for those of you out there in the day-to-day fitness space, meaning that if you consider yourself a weekend warrior or you do CrossFit just to look better naked, but you're throwing down in the open, I believe that the same kind of approach, although different, is going to apply for you. And we'll get into that a little bit later in this video. But what I want you guys to be mindful of, these 3 movements, none of which are brand new, but there's something very unique and something that we have to address with the box jump over. This year, this movement, they're demanding that everyone steps down. So both feet have to land on the box at the same time to initiate the jump. And then you've got to step both feet down, and both feet one at a time, and both feet have to make contact with the floor before you can initiate the next jump. Now, this changes things because it really changes the way that you can find advantage on your fellow competitor or classmate, whatever it is, whoever you're throwing down against. It makes it a little bit more difficult in order to find ways to create a natural advantage for yourself. So in this, we've got to actually spend some time and think about spending some time before the workout, if you're not used to stepping down every rep, to master this skill. The more that it becomes habitual for you in the prep work and in the warm-up, the more natural success that you'll actually have in the middle of the workout when you want to be able to not think about it quite as much. When it comes to preparing for this workout, that's where we're going to start. So your warm-up, it should look about 3 to 5 minutes of general prep and movement, which means that you can hop on an assault bike, an echo bike, a C2. I would even urge you to consider a rower for today. So much of the movement today is going to be hinge dominant there with the alternating dumbbell snatch that I think it's a really good idea to send a ton of blood flow to your hips, your hamstrings, and your lower back. So maybe start off with 3 to 5 minutes on the rower at a very gentle and easy pace. After that, you want to graduate into a series of movements, which, if you guys are looking at this resource, you can definitely follow our blog, which is going to be walking you through step by step of how we will guide you through this warm-up. But I would suggest that most of you, if you're not going to take the time to look, you basically navigate through some basic body weight movements. Think inchworms, think toe touches, think pikes of some sort to really open up your posterior chain. And of course, prepare your shoulders for the load bearing and the dynamic movement, very similar to a handstand walk, but in the form of a wall walk that will be asked of us through the wall walk itself. Definitely spend some time actually warming up and preparing your core, whether it's through static contractions and a hold, or just kicking up and doing a variation of wall walks and or shoulder taps while you're upside down to prepare you for the stimulus that will happen in the workout. After you conclude whatever warm-up you go through, I'm going to be biased and suggest that you check out the one that is associated with the TTRU Fitness video that you're watching now. You want to go through a segmented version of this workout, meaning that oftentimes in the open, it's important for us to structure the latter part of our warm-up so that it feels like the workout without being the full workout. So in this case, take a portion of each repetition, cycle through it. Maybe it's 1 wall walk, 4 dumbbell snatches, 5 box jump overs, and go through that 3 to 6 or 3 to 5 rounds, depending on how much volume you anticipate in accumulating in this workout. Your warm-up should also reflect that. But just to get a rhythm of the body language and the way that you want to dance through this workout, I think it's extremely important, especially to understand that the real way to separate yourself from other competitors, no matter what level you're competing in, is to actually have yourself have great success in the latter portion, meaning 8 to 9 minutes and beyond. So your warm-up needs to be structured accordingly. What I suggest is that you get your heart rate up by going through 3 to 5 rounds of a shorter version of the workout and play with the transitions that are going to mimic exactly what you plan to do in your attack strategy for when it's 3, 2, 1 go time. After you do that, give yourself plenty of time to cool back down. So you want to think about 5 to 7 minutes before your heat is ready to take the floor so that you're fully recovered, but you're still fully aroused, both physically and mentally, ready to optimize your performance in 22.1. Now, some things to consider as we get going in the workout is that if you have, again, limited experience with this box step down, for men, it's going to challenge more flexibility more often than not, unless you're a taller gentleman, in your ankles and in your hips and knees. So what I want to urge you to do is really think about getting the tissues in your feet, your ankles, and your knees mobilized. Now, this could look like before you start your formal warm-up, literally spending some time in a very low squat, mobilizing your ankles with a kettlebell on the top of your knee, just trying to fight for extra range of motion. And it's because of how deep the step down can be for shorter athletes. So when you think about being someone that's 5'9" or 5'8" and below, that 24 inches feels a lot different for someone that's 5'11", 6 foot, or 6'1". So that's going to be a challenge. You want to make sure that you open up your hips and have enough range of motion to be able to lift your foot off that box in the step down. Otherwise, even what we saw some of our elite athletes, Pat Vellner and Noah Olson, experiencing was that they would start to step down, but the foot would drag off the box, then move the box, and it would affect their rhythm. And over time, if you do that consistently, it will affect your performance. So make sure that your hips, ankles, and knees are mobilized and ready to rock and roll. Now, in this workout itself, it seems pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to urge you to overly pace out the gate, especially for you weekend warriors, you everyday gym goers, the ones that want to look better naked, that aren't necessarily looking to go in the top 10% or beyond into the quarterfinals and semifinals. Literally give yourself a little bit of grace. Feel as though you're almost warming up into this workout as you go. And by the time you hit minute 5 and minute 6, you're hitting a stride. Instead, the vast majority of the community will come out so fast on those 3 wall walks, so fast on those 12 alternating dumbbell snatches, and then 15 box jump overs, that after just 1 to 2 rounds of that, they're going to feel relatively gassed. And if we're already hitting a wall or find ourselves in a bad place between the minute 5 and minute 7, the latter part of the workout, we're going to be spending a lot of time with our hands on our knees or resting with our face on the ground on those wall walks. One of my key focuses for you guys to think about and consider outside of having your own pace and settling in as the workout develops is for you to have some kind of idea how you want these transitions to go, especially you competitors. So you competitors that are now thinking about top 10% in the world, you're thinking about starting your CrossFit season off with some good momentum, is that there needs to be haste in the transitions. We talked already how they changed the box jump over movement, and now it's harder to find separation between yourself and other competitors than just rebounding box jumps and doing it well. You've got to get from movement to movement with intentional processes. Meaning that if you want to rush from the box to the wall walk, because that's the longest walk, that's a good idea. But if you think about even the wall walks themselves, how long will you rest between reps? Will you rest at all? How long will you wait before you pick up that dumbbell for the first snatch? Will it be 2 breaths? Will it be 3 breaths? Will it simply be as fast as possible? These are important things to dial in so that you can have something to hold yourself accountable when the workout does get hard. Because at some point, for each and every one of you, it's going to get hard. So do your best to create that kind of rhythm. And I would encourage you to think about it, maybe even put pen or pencil to paper and give yourself something to be accountable to. Maybe a buddy that's watching on the side, not the judge, because that's not their job, but someone that can root you on and encourage you, okay, 2 breaths here, let's go to work. Right? Because it's gonna matter specifically at some point, and specifically towards the latter part of these 15 minutes that we're gonna be throwing down and having a party of fitness. What I want you guys to also consider is the volume of work that will be done. Meaning that we watch athletes get 11 rounds and beyond. You must make sure that you're meeting yourself where you're at. If you know in your mind you've never even done 100 dumbbell snatches or 120 dumbbell snatches in a workout, you don't need to start with the same velocity and pace that you watch Noah Olson and Pat Vellner and the ladies go out with, because you probably won't be able to sustain that pace in the latter round. So allow that also to be something that festers in your mind in regards to how you want to attack this thing. Now, equipment setup is important, and CrossFit has done a great job of being very detailed in how they have minimum expectations or maximum expectations with distance between certain equipment Make sure that you're focused on the details. Athletes, listen, it's your job, it's your responsibility to make sure that your video submission is on point, to make sure that your judge is completely up to date on the standards and maybe up to date in even how you move and where your limitations might be, so that you're getting the best score possible and having the best outcome for yourself. So don't be lazy and don't just overlook this part of the process. For many of you, you elite competitors that want to be top 10% and then you're looking on already to the quarterfinals and potentially the semifinals, this is how you flex this movement or this muscle of routine. Right? We understand, okay, hey, a workout gets released. What I'm going to do is be completely in tune with the details of the workout. And no, don't rely on your coach. You do the work so that there's this full comprehensive understanding of what needs to take place for you to dominate and do the very best that you can do. So be a student of the game, pay attention to the details, and of course, have a support system that's there to help you, whether it's set up your video if you need it or make sure that a judge is present. And hey, listen, this is just my tidbit of advice for each and every person participating in the Open. Look, if you're going to qualify in advance and you need a judge, then be willing to be a judge. Help the community, support the community, make the investment in yourself through your knowledge of the sport by getting your judge's certificate, whatever that looks like for you. But be there to support one another. Elite athletes out there that are out there in the margins of our sport that people aspire to be like and have the freedom to train like and all those wonderful things. Support the community that you're a part of. Spend some extra time during this phase for you that probably isn't as stressful as it has been in years past, and judge a couple heats. Be there to root on your peers and their families, and give them what you can. Because as the season progresses, we all understand and we all know what happens to focus and intensity. It just continues to rise. And we know that sometimes that leads to your time and focus being monopolized. But right now, enjoy the moment, enjoy the community, and let's kick off 22.1. like we've never kicked off an Open before. I want to wish you guys the best of luck. I hope this video gave you some perspective. I hope that it motivated you to go out there and crush this workout. But most importantly, I hope it gave you an idea of how to pace, how to prepare, and how to execute out there. Have a great 2022 season, and you can look for me in the weeks to come. TTRU Fitness out.